Welcome into Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz, the official luxury automobile of the New York Football Giants. I'm Madelyn Burke here with two-time Super Bowl champion David Diehl, coming at you live from the top of section 144 on MSG Networks, Giants TV, and the Giants app. Diehl, obviously a tough loss for this Giants team, 17-14. But before we get into that, we have to address the emotional halftime moment. We saw a little bit of that playing into the beginning of this show. Eli Manning having his number retired and being inducted into the Ring of Honor. I mean, what an incredible honor for Eli Manning, and well-deserved and earned by him. Obviously, being one of his teammates and one of his brothers, you couldn't be more than happy. And it was unbelievable to be able to see everybody pre-game, to be able to sit in the suites, watch the game together, share those stories from Super Bowl 42 and all those seasons together. So, talk about an epic day for Eli Manning and his family. Unfortunately, it would have been better with the Giants' defeat of the Atlanta Falcons. You know, but at least we got bobbleheads here. So that is always, Eli, did you have fun? Yes, he had a good time. Reuniting with you guys, we saw the entire O-line from that unit lead him out there. We saw him recreate those iconic passes to David Tyree and Mario Manningham, and both were epic completions once again.
Yeah, it definitely was. It was great to hear the Coach Coughlin video come in, and then all the fans really cheering Eli Manning and getting the chant going, and you know, him to get a little bit of emotions up there, to see get the ears, the eyes tearing a little bit. It just was such a great experience, and like I said, I couldn't be happier and prouder to be a teammate and a friend of his, and we'll be watching and looking at that for the rest of his life and the rest of the Giants' history right there, Eli Manning.
Once a Giant, always a Giant, only a Giant, Eli Manning. But, of course, you mentioned the game that was played on the field. That was just the halftime. Going into halftime, Giants were trailing 7-6. But with 4 minutes and 13 seconds left, this game was tied at 14. I mean, how do we make – first of all, there were a lot of penalties in this one.
That's the one thing that when you look at the success that the Giants had on both the offense and the defensive side of the ball, it was when they didn't have the self-inflicted wounds, whether it's on the offensive side of the ball, the bad snap, and then a false start right after it, and you're putting yourself in a 3rd and 22 when you know that your wide receivers on the outside are capable of beating the secondary of the Atlanta Falcons. And then on the defensive side of the ball, not only penalties, but missed tackles in open field. We know Mike Davis is a big back. You've got to take him low, and those are the things added with the special teams component that right now, looking at this game, you can't let those get away from you. And Adoree Jackson dropped interception in the back of the end zone. That gets you off of the field, and it makes it a completely different game.
Very different game. Instead, the Falcons were there at the 1-yard line, had a chance to score and tie it up in that time. In the second quarter, though, there was a call that was ruled incomplete. Joe Judge threw the challenge flag. It looked like he kind of debated with himself whether or not to do it, but he threw it, and the call was upheld. But a lot of people thought, you know what, hey, that did look like a fumble recovery. I mean, in those kind of moments, how do you kind of manage that?
Well, I think that's where you have to manage your emotions, and then when a call doesn't go your way like that, it comes to the X's and O's, and it comes down to execution. And as we said, and we watched this entire second half, the Giants had opportunities to capitalize and take over this football game, but when you have those penalties, when you have the turnovers and the missed tackles and the special teams blunders, that's what puts you behind the 8 ball.
Absolutely, and ended up losing this one 17-14 on the boot of Younghoe's 40-yard field goal to seal this win for the Falcons. All right, we've got a lot more coming up on the program. We'll continue to break this one down. We're going to hear from some players. We're going to hear from head coach Joe Judge. All that and much more coming up on Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz. We'll be right back. Today's scoring drive of the game is brought to you by Investors Bank. Get the official New York Giants checking account only from Investors Bank. Visit investorsbank.com/Giants for more. Scoring drive of the game, we head to the fourth quarter. It was 10 plays, 71 yards, capped off by that 1-yard rushing touchdown from Saquon Barkley. The Giants went for 2. Daniel Jones kept it, and it put them up 14-7 in the fourth quarter. That's the Investors Bank scoring drive of the game. And for more, we're going to send it down to the field to hear from Paul Dottino and Brandon London. Guys.
Well, thanks so much, Madelyn. And when you talk about that Barkley touchdown drive, it was really with about 6 minutes or so left in the third quarter where this game kind of got really crazy. The Giants passed up a potential 56-yard field goal, down 7-6. They punt the ball. They stick Atlanta deep in their own territory. Defense comes up big. Giants go on that touchdown drive, and they take the lead, and you're feeling pretty good. But then what happens, Brandon? Atlanta comes right back, and they go on a 15-play, 72-yard touchdown drive, and all of a sudden it's a tie ball game.
Yeah, it was a game of moments for the defense. Unfortunately, so there was some good, there was some bad. But let's go back to that drive when the Coach Judge did pass up that 56-yard field goal. I know a lot of people wanted him to kick that field goal, but that's a coach that has the utmost confidence in his coordinator and his players. Now, although Atlanta did rush for a first down, they managed to stop them 3 straight plays. They punted. We went down and scored. Unfortunately, let's go to the bad moment. Adoree Jackson has to catch that interception to end that Atlanta drive for that scoring drive.
All right, let's talk about the Giants' touchdown. Saquon Barkley powering up the middle, gets the 1-yard touchdown plunge, jumping over the pile behind the block of Eli Manning. Giants ran power football there, and Saquon Barkley continues to look better and better.
Absolutely. Each time he's getting the ball, he's looking a little bit more comfortable. He needs to trust his offensive line a little bit more, trust his body, and not try and rely on hitting the edge every time. Remember, this is the NFL. A 3-yard run is a good run. So Saquon, as he continues to acclimate himself to the system and to this offense, 6 catches for him today, he's going to continue to get better throughout the year.
Barkley, 51 yards on 16 carries, 22 touches for 94 yards from scrimmage. I thought one of the other interesting factors in this game was Colin Johnson. Now, this is a wide receiver who got here only a couple of weeks ago. They got him off of waivers from Jacksonville. He goes 5 catches for 51 yards. Remember, Shepard was injured early, and Golladay had to come out for some of the game as well.
And Slayton was out as well with the hamstring injury. But here's the thing. Colin Johnson came in and had those 5 catches, but it wasn't today that those catches were created. It was all throughout his time here. Now, the Giants' offense has done a great job by rotating receivers, running with Daniel Jones and the first team. So when guys step in, they feel comfortable within this offense. Next man up mentality, and that's exactly what he did.
And ultimately, I thought the pass protection was functional once again. They did it last week and a half ago against Washington, and for the most part, I thought they gave Daniel Jones some decent time, and he was allowed to create some things.
Yeah, he did, and he had time to look downfield. That was a great thing. We hit on 2 deep shots, but he had time in the pocket, and you love to see Daniel Jones not with loud feet. You love to see him comfortable in that pocket.
And I know on the touchdown drive, you really liked the catch by Golladay in the red zone, followed by him drawing a pass interference in the left corner.
Yeah, that's your guy. As he continues to get comfortable within this Giants offense, he's doing a great job being in his spot. Daniel Jones knows he can look up, throw that ball to a spot, and a 50-50 catcher like Kenny Golladay is coming down with that 9 times out of 10.
All right, now one thing we do have to keep in mind, Daniel Jones, as he continues to grow, we do not know the injury status of either Slayton or Shepard moving forward. On defense, we don't know about the status of Blake Martinez either. These are 3 critical pieces to the Giants puzzle.
Yeah. Next man up mentality. I thought Tay Crowder, I thought Carter Coughlin and others did a great job stepping in, as well as Kadarius Toney with his first 2 catches on the day.
Brandon, we'll see you again next time.
Yes, sir.
Madelyn, let's go back to you.
Thanks, Paul. Well, Diehl, I thought they had a great point, actually, with the next man up mentality. We saw Shepard go down.
Yep.
We saw Slayton go out. But Colin Johnson making the most of his opportunity. And I love the point Brandon made, saying, you know what, those catches were not made on the field today. They were made in all that work leading up to today. How does this team stay prepared and stay ready for next man up?
Well, obviously it's difficult when you lose Slayton and Shepard with the hamstring injuries, but when we know that wide receiver group, they compete. They get after it day in and day out, and they hold themselves to a high standard. And when somebody goes down, you need to step up, replace that person, and it comes down to alignment and assignment. And I think that's one bright spot looking at what happened today. Obviously, we know the offense complexion and the numbers would be a lot different with Shepard and Slayton, but the fact that they were able to manipulate the game plan to help those young players showed their toughness and showed their ability to rise to the challenge. And going back to that 10-play, 71-yard drive for the touchdown, there was a big moment in that, because what was the only 3rd down in that drive was when they were on the Falcons 39. That drive started on the 29. They were so efficient in the run game on 1st and 2nd down. That's why they didn't have the 3rd down until they got to the 39-yard line. Kenny Golladay gets the pass interference. They drive right in, Saquon over the top, and Daniel Jones running over Grady Jarrett. I didn't think that I would see that today, but man, is he playing well.
I mean, Daniel Jones is sneaky tough. That man can run. We've seen how fast he can be, but he can body up a guy too, and respect that. I like seeing that. Hey, you want to see that out of your quarterback, and that was a great way to get into the end zone as well. All right, stay with us. We got a lot more coming up on the program. After the break, we're going to hear from head coach Joe Judge. That and much more as we look at Eli Manning being welcomed into the Giants Ring of Honor. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Today's game between the Giants and Falcons was brought to you by Pepsi. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz, the official luxury automobile of the New York Football Giants. Look at that. It's bobblehead day. It's Eli Manning day, as Eli Manning had his number 10 retired, was inducted into the Ring of Honor. Look at that. Look at the real bling right here. It's almost as sizable as these ones on this here, right?
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I should have wore the other one. I only wore one today. I'm mad at myself for that, but obviously, what a great bobblehead and what a great day for Eli Manning again.
Hey, those rings yours? Both of them? Right there? Both of them? Hey, two-time Super Bowl champion, teammate of this man right here. All right, we're going to hear from head coach Joe Judge right now as he addresses the media post-game.
All right, what's going on, guys? First off, we got to give credit to the Falcons. They played a good game. They made plays down the stretch where it counted. I was pleased with a lot of things our team did today, but ultimately we didn't finish. We got to do a better job of finishing drives, finishing the game. A lot of things that we saw positive, we worked on throughout the week, coming out of the Washington week, all right, that we showed up in the game in a positive way. But look, big picture-wise, we got to do a better job finishing the game. That's coaching, that's playing, that's executing, that's making sure we get out there and we do what we have to do for 60 minutes. All right, that being said, I'll open it for questions.
How disappointing is this loss and the mistakes keep happening?
Well, look, obviously, you prepare every week to have success, okay? You come out of any game without success, okay, and there's things that you're obviously, not happy about, okay? The key for us right now is to make sure that we go back to work, we correct the mistakes, we keep being productive in things we're doing well, and we stay together as a team and keep pushing forward. That's the biggest picture thing right now.
Joe, your defense for the second week in a row gave up a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter in the waning moments. How do you fix that?
Go back to work and we keep on working on it. I thought they stepped up in the end of the first half, did a good job in a short field 2-minute right there. We got to keep making aggressive plays right there. Obviously, it comes down to making sure we're in the right call and executing the techniques and fundamentals at the time right there. We got to make sure we put it all together.
Coach, a lot of missed opportunities in the red zone. The penalties again come back. You're a guy that preaches discipline constantly. How do you clean this up? This is a few weeks of this now, and I know it has to affect you. I mean, you're a guy who's discipline, and this keeps happening. How do you clean this up?
Yeah, I think the things that showed up today in terms of the penalties on the field, really that comes down to more technique post-snap in terms of instead of focus and finish right there. We got to make sure we keep drilling that, correcting it in practice, make sure it doesn't show up again. That's the biggest thing. Obviously, we had 2 of the tackling penalties. I got to look at them on tape and kind of see them a little bit closer in terms of what they are. We always stress keeping our eyes up, seeing what we hit, make sure we remove ourselves in those situations. Sometimes there are bang-bang plays that are pretty close. We got to make sure we go ahead and put the players in the right position, all right, that we eliminate those shots right there.
Joe, do you have to worry about the morale of this ball club at all?
No, I think the DNA of our team is the team comes back and goes to work. Okay, look, no one's going to be happy after a loss. That's the reality of what it is, okay? The element of what we do as professionals, we got to come back and go to work. We got to watch the tape. We got to key on it. We got to prepare for a tough opponent coming up next week. So in terms of, the morale of the team, I trust in the way the guys work, the way I see them work on a day in, day out basis, and they stick together as a team. That's the biggest part right there I'm looking for, is how they work.
You had a bunch of guys go down first half. Is Blake, is it as bad as it might have looked?
I haven't had any word on Blake, to be honest with you. Obviously, they took him out. I was told the same thing you guys were told me. I have not seen Blake. I have not talked to the doctors after the game concerning Blake right there. I don't have an answer on that one. Hopefully it's not serious. Blake's obviously a key part of our team. He's a leader. He's a hard worker. He's a tough dude. We'll see where he's at, and hopefully it's going to trend in the right direction.
Joe, in the fourth quarter, you guys burned 2 timeouts early. I guess how much responsibility do you take for mistakes like that happening?
Well, the one we had the communication issue with the headset dropping down in terms of the coach-to-player system right there. So I want to make sure we're just in the right call. I want to make sure that we didn't, we had a third down situation. I want to make sure that with the system going down briefly that we went ahead and we handled that the right way. All right. Obviously, we didn't convert on that one right there, and it kept on going. In terms of the other ones right there, talk about the end of the first half timeout. That was by design to go ahead and see what they were doing at that point based on where we're at in the half, what we had coming up right there. So that was by design right there on that one.
Joe, on defense, you had Logan Ryan and Adoree Jackson both drop interceptions. I mean, can a defense survive when its top players can't make those kind of plays?
I think those are things we talk about in terms of having opportunities and making sure we finish. We got to make sure, keep putting the players in the right position. Those guys play those plays aggressively to put themselves in position right there and get it. And obviously, things got to keep on working in practice. Jugs, machines, interception drills, things of that nature. Those things you go back to work on, you focus on, and you show the players in terms of, okay, this is what's happening. Here's what we got to keep on right now to make sure we keep pushing in the right direction to fix those.
Joe, I don't want to say play scared, but does the defense in crunch time, it's the last couple of games, does defense in crunch time get nervous?
No, I don't see that at all. Now it comes down to making sure the calls are right, the execution's right at the moment right there. No, I don't see anything in terms of that.
Joe, you're working the game all intently, but can you tell the crowd was not happy at a lot of times here, and Evan Ingram got booed off the field when he had a fumble, and it seemed like this was a sort of a hostile situation at times with the home crowd. Could you sense any of that?
I love our crowd. Look, it's New York. It's supposed to be a tough place to be, right? Isn't that the nature of where we're at right there? People demand excellence because that's where we're at, the biggest market. You know what people want right there, so that's what we have to work to give them. It's not their job to show up here and just go ahead and pat us on the back. It's our job to entertain them, give them something to cheer about. That's it.
What do you say to Evan now? I mean,
keep your head up, keep playing right there. That's it right there.
To the point where even at the end, he got booed cheered, for coming off the field. Like, nothing that was even his doing. What do you say to a player to handle that?
We handle what we do on the field, guys. That's the reality of what it is. Like, I got it. Like, I got booed early in the game for not going for on fourth down. We punted it, and everyone erupted and cheered when it was down inside the 5. Like, we got to make the best decisions for playing the game and putting ourselves in position for success. In terms of any reaction from the crowd, I'm never going to criticize the crowd. Are you kidding me? It's our job to entertain them. It's our job to please them. That's the reality of what it is right there. In terms of our players and reacting to that right there, look, we're supposed to have adversity. That's the nature of what we do. We talked before about pressure. There's supposed to be pressure on our job. That's the reality of what we do, what we get paid for. So in terms of, reacting to something externally, we've got to focus on what we do each play in the process of being successful.
Coach, were you happy?
Receivers impact the offense going forward. Have you heard about their status?
I haven't heard much about their status other than that they didn't finish the game today with us, obviously. Hopefully, it's a quick turnaround for both those guys. They're obviously, integral parts of our offense. I was pleased with seeing some other guys step up. Tony did a good job, made some plays early on for us right there. Colin made some nice catches down the stretch. Obviously, Kenny played today, made some big-time catches. So there are a number of other guys making plays, getting the ball in 26's hands and getting him started right there in some space. So there are a lot of positive guys stepping up right there. It's our job to make sure, whoever's available for the game, we put them in position. It's their job to go out there and execute.
Coach, how are you assessing Saquon hitting the holes out there? And can you talk about Booker being a scratch today?
In terms of the inactives, look, there's a lot that goes in every week in terms of, healthy scratches, injured scratches, whatever it may be. Obviously, we make the best decision for the team. There's multiple roles that are always involved. So for whatever player that's down for different reasons, it's not always a reflection of anything that people want to read into in terms of confidence or trusting the player. A lot of times it's just in terms of how the flow of the game is going to be played and who's available, what we have to do in terms of depth backups on different parts of the team as well.
About Saquon hitting the holes? Saquon hitting the holes? How are you assessing the way he's going after the holes?
Yeah, I've seen him have some productive runs right there. I got to take a look at the tape before I go ahead and make any broad picture statements on that.
Up Saquon, he seemed to be stretching a lot on the sideline, kind of pulling himself out a bunch.
I didn't see anything on that. In terms of him pulling himself out, I didn't see that either. We kind of rotate and roll those backs a good bit. So in terms of Penny going in, Gary going in for him right there, he had something right there. We roll a lot.
You're a big proponent of complementary football,
yes.
The idea of all three phases play into each other. You make the decision to punt there at the 50, and obviously you're going to put it on your defense, but also I would imagine you're not expecting your punter to put the ball in the end zone. Is it more frustrating when you're trying to call the game complementary-wise, and it's just not it seems like one phase is not helping out the other?
Well, all three have to play off each other, Art. So exactly what you just said right there. In terms of, we've got to make sure we execute at the time, in terms of how it comes up. Obviously, punt from the 50, we're looking to pin those guys back, put them on a long field. For that final drive, that was a big part of what we were doing. Obviously, at that point, we're looking to play to our defense and confidence in how they've been playing throughout the game, things they were doing. So, our punting game's been pretty good in the plus 50 zone right there. Keon made a big-time play earlier in the day for us. We look to play for it right there. But in terms of offense, defense, kicking game, we all obviously have to execute when the number's called.
How healthy was Kenny Galladay today? Because we saw his snaps managed, and before the game looked like you guys were really kind of deliberating about whether to play him or not.
Yeah, I'd say the medical staff gave us a green light to play, and they indicated that it was in the best interest of him to go out and play. That was something we watched throughout practice this week. We obviously managed some of the volume this week in terms of what he did and build him up a little bit. We saw enough from pregame, and the medical staff saw enough from pregame to say he was good to go, and obviously went out there and made some plays for us today. In terms of some gauge of exactly where he is percentage-wise, I couldn't speak for Kenny on that right there. I know he's a tough dude, and he plays through a lot of nicks and bumps. At this point of the year, guys, no one's 100%. Like, there's not a player in the league that's 100% right now. So, you just got to make sure you put a guy out there who's safe to play.
Joe, what are your thoughts on that personal foul called on Xavier McKinney? And in your perspective, do you think that kind of changed the momentum late in the game?
I'm not going to comment on any of the penalties or anything called right there. I'm going to make sure I check the tape right there. We got a brief shot of it on the Jumbotron. I'll take a look at it in terms of anything technique-wise. We got to coach and clean up on that right there. Okay.
That sound from head coach Joe Judge was brought to you by Ford. Diehl, one of the points of emphasis right here, obviously, is the penalties. Got to make those corrections. 8 penalties for 53 yards against this New York Giants team. How do you clean this up?
Confidence is built through repetition and through practice. And when you understand your assignment and the details that go along with it, and you practice it during the week, it shows up on Sunday. When you have doubts and when you're thinking at the line of scrimmage, and all of a sudden you're in 3rd and 9, and all of a sudden they're showing a blitz look, and all of a sudden that undisciplined play comes out and you have a false start. It all comes down to being mentally tough and understanding what you're trying to approach in that week in and week out. When it comes to the defensive side of the ball, pass interference, we know it's all about techniques and fundamentals, reading your key and making sure that you play the coverage the way that it's supposed to be played. We know that they've been looking for years now for pass interference. So I think that this is something that needs to continue to be built through practice and through preparation, because when you understand, you out cold your playbook, you're in physical shape, you know what the opposing team's going to do, you can walk away from that game without a single regret, knowing that I was all invested, I sold out, but I can learn and I can build from this.
It really came down to it, too, on this one. They will build from it because, as Joe Judge says, this team is one that is not afraid to get back in the lab, get back to work. He says, win or lose, right back in there, same energy to work on it and build from it on Monday or next week. All right, we got a lot more coming up in the program. Stay with us here as Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz, returns after this quick break. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz. Looking at Eli Manning walking off the field at halftime after having his number 10 jersey retired, his name unveiled in the New York Giants Ring of Honor, and waving an emotional farewell to these Giants fans as he headed back into the tunnel. And that moment right there, too, takes one more look at it. All right, we got a lot coming up here on the show, but right now we're going to send it down to wide receiver Colin Johnson, who's at the podium.
It was great. I'm just happy, I got to contribute. I try to prepare every week. My number's going to be called, so whenever it is called, I'm ready to make the play. But it definitely felt good to get in a rhythm.
Colin, I guess just after with this whole offseason and kind of path to this point, when you signed with the Giants, was there something that coach was talking with you about, just what to expect with your role, or I guess how has your role kind of evolved throughout the weeks to get to this point?
Yeah, he told me learn, outside receiver, both X and Z, and just be ready for when my number's called and also contribute on special teams. So, like I said, every week I just try to dig in the playbook, get the game plan down, and in practice, whatever they need me, wherever they need me, I'm just down because, I just want to be a part of this team and help the team win, basically. So.
Was there a feeling of disbelief on the side? We know Kenny came in hurt, then Slayton gets hurt, then Shep gets hurt. Is there a feeling of oh my God, what's happening? Who's next?
It's football. You're around football long enough. I just feel like people go down, and it's unfortunate, but it's you just have to step up, and that's what it is in this league. So like I said, I just prepare each and every week, like I'm the starter. So you're ready when your number's called.
That sound from Colin Johnson was brought to you by Ford. Looking at his stats for the day, 5 receptions for 51 yards with a 16-yard long. And Diehl, he talked about, staying ready for that next man up mentality. But when you're in the practice field and you're not getting a lot of time to develop those reps with Daniel Jones and getting out there and being able to make a name for yourself or make a moment and make an impact in a game like that, how do you do that?
Well, number one, obviously he showed his ability to rise to the level that he needed to play today and be that next man up. And when you think about what you're doing as a wide receiver in the practice squad team or practice field, and you're out there running the opposing team, when you get back into your offensive room and you get back into that wide receiver rooms, you've got to switch your mind back to, okay, what personnel groups are we running? How are we going to try to utilize our game on the outside? How are we going to package these things? And then you start going through your playbook that way. So for him not to have a lot of throws thrown to him from Daniel Jones in practice and to be able to adjust and play the way that he did today, a lot of credit to Colin Johnson.
A lot of credit to the man rising to the occasion, taking advantage of the opportunity. That's what you need to see. Next man up. All right, we got a lot more coming up on the program. The next man up to the podium might be your quarterback, Daniel Jones. We'll hear from him and several other players as the show rolls on. Stay with us here on Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz, the official luxury automobile of the New York Giants. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz, the official luxury automobile of the New York Football Giants. We are back here at MetLife Stadium, live at the top of section 144. And Diehl, you know, earlier before the break, we heard from Colin Johnson. Fun fact, he's the son of Hall of Fame cornerback Johnny Johnson. Got to throw these little trivia bits out to you for you. But one of the things, too, we saw the passing game. Daniel Jones, it seems like he's gotten a lot more time to throw lately. It looks like the offensive line is doing well in the pass protection, better than in the run protection, which seems kind of like the opposite of what we expected coming into the season.
Yeah, and I definitely think that it comes to the part of that the different line group that came together. Think about Billy Price coming in, and then with the injury of Nick Gates, now Ben Bredson's in there. Pass protection, there's a lot of one-on-one blocks. You know, it's pretty much slide protection, who you're working to. So that gets down to the basic fundamentals that you have as an individual player. But when it comes to the run game and the fits and the footwork and the cohesion, so that instead of two pads hitting like this, they're hitting one. They're hitting combination blocks together. They know how to work on the backside together. That's what takes time, and I think that's the thing that they're still working out, as well as Saquon Barkley back. You know, how is this offensive line blocking? How am I going to pick my holes and make a decisive decision on where I'm going to go with the football? Those are all things that are going to continue to be built off of this game that definitely still needs improvement.
And you mentioned Saquon Barkley. We saw him continue to ramp up his production in the game as they build him up this season. But Daniel Jones, of course, having more time to throw the ball. He's speaking to the media now at the podium. Let's head down.
What is the mood of this team right now?
I think, you know, it's, you know, guys are frustrated and certainly disappointed with the results. We're all competitors and we want to win. We expect to win. So that's, you know, frustrating, and we've got to understand that and feel that, you know, today. But as we move forward, we got to use that to motivate us to look at, you know, what we've done well and what we need to correct, and you know, how we need to attack this week going forward.
How do you explain? And it seems like you guys keep ending up on the wrong side of these, you know, tough losses. Can you put your finger on it and say, this is what we need to do, or this is what we're doing wrong?
I don't think it's one thing or even two things. I think it's a combination of a lot of little things we gotta do better. And you know, in this league, you know, these games come down to the fourth quarter. They come down to making plays, you know, when you have to, and we've got to do that better. Got to execute and make those plays.
How do you finish? Joe talks about finishing the game. My question to you is, how do you finish a drive and get the touchdown instead of the field goal? What do you guys need to do in that regard?
I mean, I don't think it's anything different than what we need to do on, you know, P&10 when we get the ball. I think it's about executing plays, you know, understanding the situation and how that factors in. But ultimately, it's about executing plays, taking what they give us and not hurting ourselves. So, you know, we've got to be able to maintain that execution down the field throughout drives and not, you know, not allow ourselves to stall. And, you know, we're able to move it. We're able to, you know, make a lot of, you know, positive plays, move the ball down the field, execute, and then you've got to continue that into the red zone.
How hard is it to stay positive after you have losses the way you have these last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we expect to win. We want to win. Everyone in that locker room's a competitor, and it's frustrating. But we have no choice but to let this motivate us to continue to work, to put our heads back down and go back to work, correct what we need to do, what we need to correct, and get better from it.
Daniel, you look pretty excited when you take the ball in on the end zone. You kind of carry your guy in with you, pump your fist. Do you allow yourself at that moment to think, I think, we have the points to win now. We're going to finally win a game here?
No, I don't think at any point. I don't know what the time was there in the fourth quarter, but like I said, these games come down to final drives, and oftentimes late in the fourth quarter where we've got to make a play. So the game's not over. We haven't scored enough until the game is over, until the clock runs out. So we've got to be ready and be ready to go.
Daniel, there's a lot of pressure on you coming into this year to play a certain way. It seems like you've played well, and the wins still aren't coming. Is there a part of you that says, is there anything more I can do? I mean, how much more can you do to affect these results of this game?
A lot. I think there's a lot. We all can do a lot more, and we have to. We believe we have a good football team, and we have the guys to make it work. So, we've all got to do better. We've all got to play better, correct things, and move forward. But it's going to come from all of us.
What happened on the fumble?
That sound from Daniel Jones is brought to you by Ford. Looking at his stats from today versus the Falcons, 24 completions on 35 attempts, 266 yards, no touchdowns thrown, though no interceptions. The second game in a row, Daniel Jones has had 0 turnovers in a game. Diehl, that's a huge point of emphasis for this quarterback coming into this season.
It's a huge point of emphasis that he's learned from, but also think about the point of emphasis that no Sterling Shepard, no Darius Slayton. You have different wide receivers out there, and you've got to trust them to be in the spot with the timing of the offense, read the defense the same way that Daniel Jones is looking at it. So the fact that he was able to walk away with 0 interceptions and turnovers in this football game, that's a big sign for Daniel Jones. And the one thing that I definitely know is that with the continued progress of Saquon Barkley, what will that do? That will add that element of play action that this offense needs. It will help the offensive line be aggressive at the line of scrimmage, not being able to get teed off by defensive ends playing the run on the way to the quarterback, and it'll open up deep shots for Kenny Golladay and the other players downfield.
And though his stats did not reflect a touchdown, he did run it in on the keeper and get that 2-point conversion on that score. Daniel Jones using his legs when he can. Things we love to see here at MetLife Stadium. All right, stay with us. We got lots more coming up on the show as Mercedes-Benz Postgame Live continues after this short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz. As you see the number 10 jerseys in effect out here in the stands. Lots of fans repping that Eli Manning, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, as he had that number 10 retired and was welcomed into the New York Giants Ring of Honor. First of all, I love the story, by the way, about how Jeff Fiegels just decided to give him the number 10 in exchange for a trip to Florida. What an easy deal.
So I wouldn't say that would just be giving it to him. I would say the trip to Florida for his entire family for an extended week. I think that would be a good payoff for Jeff Fiegels.
It's a strong balance. And now that number 10 is retired under Eli Manning's name in this one.
We told Fiegels today he undersold it. He should have asked for more money.
You know, hindsight is 20/20. That's what they always say. All right, we're going to send it down to the podium as Giants cornerback Adoree Jackson is speaking to the media.
So what's going through your head in that moment when it happens?
I was real pissed, get the team out of a situation where we get the ball back and then maybe, you don't know what happens. We're up by 7 and things can go a different way. So dropping and missing that play, I was pissed at myself. But at the end of the day, just got to keep going back out there and battling.
Adoree, do you think they made it look too easy on the drive that tied the ball game, then on the game-winning setup to the field goal that they came down the field, just it looked too easy?
I just feel like they actually out-executed us. In that situation. That's one of the things where we just got to go look at the film correct and just get better. Just an understanding, just betting on ourselves, doubling down, and knowing that, games come down to third down, 2 minutes in red zones, just trying to correct it and get better.
What keeps happening at the end of halves and the end of games, the 2-minute drills? Because it seems like you're playing 3 weeks in a row. It seems like you're playing decent defense, and then those 2-minute drills is where everything collapses.
I credit Z's for, getting the sack and that turnover on that 1-2-minute drill in the first half. And then the second one, like I said, we just didn't execute. That's point blank period. There's no excuses or no anything. We just got to go out there and finish and execute.
So this, 2 straight weeks here, this has happened. Is this defense overrated?
Overrated? We just go out there and fix it. If you want to call us overrated, you can. Our morale in the locker room is just staying with each other, sticking with each other, keep building, keep growing, understanding that, it's September. We got, 15, maybe 14 more games left to play to figure it out and get it together. So our heads are not down. We're not wavering. We're not thinking about anything on the outside. We're just trying to get ourselves together and keep going in and competing.
Adoree, from a secondary standpoint, how do you fix these late game collapses? It was a couple big throws that put them in the position today.
For us, starts, when we get back to work tomorrow, watching the film. Whenever practice starts, when we go out there competing and going out there, we made some great plays on the ball, and then some we just didn't, execute and make the plays on that we needed. So just trying to be consistent throughout the week and going out throughout the game, be consistent and keep working.
That sound from Adoree Jackson was brought to you by Diehl, obviously talking about, third down, red zone, 2-minute drill, how the defense has to finish. And how do you just kind of solve those problems? This has been a conversation for a couple weeks now.
Well, I think, number one, when you look at the numbers that statistically for the Atlanta Falcons wide receivers, Cordero Patterson was actually the one who had the most yardage in receiving, who's not only just a running back, but the way that they utilize him. So the good thing is that they didn't give up any big, deep shots, Calvin Ridley downfield, which we've seen before, and the fact that they've tightened up. But at that same time, you've got to be able to tackle in open fields. You can't allow them to have those yards after contact. You can't let Kyle Pitts, who struggled in the first half, start getting his momentum going into the second half. And then the other thing, once again, back to the techniques and fundamentals. They always say when you're playing outside on the corner, if you're even, they're leaving. They've got to play on the inside hip pockets of wide receivers. When that wide receiver goes in for a slant, they've got to go clean right down the line of scrimmage and not give up that surface area to where they can make those catches. That's what makes the difference between winning and losing football games.
Some bright spots, though, on this defense. Got to point out Azeez Ojulari, the
yes,
rookie,
sir.
3 for 3, has a sack in each of the first 3 games of his young career. All right, we got a lot more coming up on the program. We're going to hear from Saquon Barkley. That and much more. Stay with us here on Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz. We'll be right back.
We just got to finish 0-3. Obviously, no one's happy. We just got to keep trusting each other, stay with each other. I think in this, starting 0-3 is where you're going to hear a lot of noise outside. And as long as we stay strong in the locker room, we're going to be all right. So we just got to keep trusting each other, keep trusting the system, keep trusting the coaches, and keep coming to work and try to figure it out.
The noise, taking on the noise today obviously was booing. How much do you guys hear that? How much does it affect the psyche?
That's part of the game. We have some of the best fans here, and we know that, and we know how New York and New Jersey are, and that's part of the game, and we got to give them something that they can't boo about. We got to be better.
Along those lines, I know you didn't hear this because you were in the locker room at halftime, but when John Mara came up for Eli's retirement, when he stepped to the podium, the fans booed him. What do you think of that?
I don't think that's fair to Mr. Mara. I think he's done a great job, and he's a great owner, and we just got to keep doing better as a team.
Did you get hurt at one point, or did you just get hit somewhere uncomfortable?
I got hit somewhere uncomfortable. I got hit my private part. I don't know what other way to say it. If you're a guy here, if you've ever been hit there, it's not comfortable. And when you have a 220, 30-pound linebacker hit you there, definitely don't feel good either. So.
How are you assessing, you coming back to where you're attacking the holes? Do you feel as though you have more to go, or do you feel like you're back to where you were before?
There's definitely more to go. I can see it. My teammates can see it. They've been telling me that it's coming. I'm starting to look like myself again, but I knew this road wasn't going to be easy, but I'm just like how right now, the season ain't started how we started, how we would like. But I'm going to keep coming to work. I'm going to keep pushing myself, keep pushing the team, keep being a leader, and keep going.
That sound from Saquon Barkley was brought to you by Ford. As you can see, he had 16 attempts for 51 yards on the ground, in addition to his 6 receptions for 43 yards in the air. 22 touches so far today. So far, that's the most he's seen so far this season as they continue to build him up. How do you react about how he's reacting to this one?
Well, I definitely think that he's still on the rise. He's making progress weekly, and I think that we saw more signs out of him. Screen game involved into it, which is almost an extension of the run game. And the one thing that I know about Saquon Barkley, the more that he plays, the more he's going to get his feet underneath him, the more he's going to be able to run with his pads right over his knees and maintain that balance. Because if you look at that final touchdown drive on, what was it, second and 6 on the 30, there was pressure coming from the left edge. He spins out of it. If he can keep his feet, he is running right past Grady Jarrett, and he's going to be on the 10-yard line. Those are the type of explosive plays that we expect out of Saquon Barkley and will expect as he continues to get more reps.
And as his reps continue to grow, it's got to be a good thing to see him going in from that 1-yard line. He took flight with no problem, no hesitation. You got to know he's feeling good on that long week's rest. And as he said, this team has to stick together and continue to trust in this team, continue to trust in each other, continue to trust in the coaching staff as they go into week 4 in a tough matchup with the New Orleans Saints, Diehl.
Yeah, the New Orleans Saints definitely bounced back after their blunder last week. And the one thing that we know that this Saints defense did, they completely shut down the run game of the New England Patriots. 2.9 yards per carry, 17 for only 49 yards. And it's no coincidence that Mac Jones throws 3 interceptions off of it and took 2 sacks. This is a Giants offense and an offensive line that needs to get the run game going in order to protect Daniel Jones on the road.
Lots of things to build on, lots of things to work on. But quickly, what is one point of focus if you're this Giants coaching staff that you say, okay, we got to head into this week getting this right?
Well, obviously at the wide receiver position, seeing where your health is and bringing in Kadarius Toney Moore with the addition of some gadgets, some plays, especially up against an over-aggressive Saints defense.
Yeah, a lot of question marks after today's game with health. Blake Martinez leaving this one. Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton will continue to update throughout the week. Thanks for hanging with us on Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz. For David Diehl, I'm Madelyn Burke. We'll leave you with this lovely remembrance of all of the festivities of today's retirement of number 10 and welcoming Eli Manning into the Ring of Honor.